Hey, this is A Automotive Reviews, and today we're going to be looking at this stimulus check again, and we're going to be talking about if your spouse owed child support, or if just say we'll just stick to the part if your spouse owes child support. Now, what you do is go to the IRS.gov, and you go here and you type in injured, type in injured spouse. Of course, we'll type spouse. So we'll type in injured spouse, and when we hit the return button, it's going to bring us to this page. When you hit the return button after you type injured spouse, it's going to bring you to this page. Now, what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to go down here where it says injured spouse, 8379, injured spouse allocation. Now, about the 8379 injured spouse allocation, if you hit here, it just says the injured spouse on a jointly filed return files to 8379 to get back their share of their joint refund when the joint overpayment is applied to a past due obligation of the other spouse. Now, that obligation can be child support, or it can be any obligation. It's actually open-ended. I'm not going to even just limit it to child support, but we're going to go here, and it says current revision. This is instructions for form. We'll go there, and it'll take you to this page, instructions, general instructions, what's new, future developments, purpose of the form. Let's go to purpose of the form. Now, the purpose of the form is to protect your portion of your stimulus payment. It says Form 8379 is filed by one spouse, the injured spouse, on a jointly filed tax return when a joint overpayment was or expected to be applied, offset to a past due obligation of the other spouse. By filing 8379, the injured spouse may be able to get back his or her share of the joint refund. And the question is, are you injured? You may be an injured spouse if you file a joint tax return and all or part of your portion of the overpayment was or is expected to be applied to offset to your spouse legally enforceable past due federal tax, state income tax, state unemployment compensation debt, child support, or federal non-tax debt such as student loan. Now, for this stimulus package, the student loans, they can't take their money back. But in another situation where you're getting a refund, the student loan can take that refund. Now, a notice of offset for the federal tax debt is issued by the IRS. A notice of offset for the past due state income tax, state unemployment compensation. Now, these are all the different ones. So all the reasons why, up here is why, they can take that away from you. So when to file Form 8379 when you become aware that all are part of your share of your overpayment was or is expected to be applied to offset against your spouse's legally enforceable past due obligations. You must file the 8379 for each year you meet this condition and want your portion of the offset refunded. So if you're married and year to year goes by, they owe child support or they're having problems. But it says you must file the 8379 within 3 years from the due date of the original return, including extension, are within 2 years from the date you paid the tax that was later offset, whichever is later, certain circumstances described in section 6511. And again, how to file. Now, you can file this form with your joint tax return, or amended form with your 1040X, or you can file it afterward by itself. File Form 8379 with the Form 1040X only if you are amending your original return to claim a joint refund. Now, it goes into a bit more detail. It says, if you file 8379 separately, please be sure to attach a copy of your W-2 or your W-22G for both spouses in any Form 1099 showing federal income tax withholding to Form 8379. The processing of the form may be delayed if these forms are not attached, so you want to make sure that they're attached. If the form is incomplete when filed, or if you attach a copy of your previously filed joint tax return. So, and this one says if you filed 8379, then mail the form 8379. But these are just scenarios where to file. And now let's go back here to where we just left off at earlier. And we talked about the purpose of the form and are you an injured spouse? And then they also have something called innocent spouse relief. And for this particular thing, if you feel like innocent, you don't file the 8379. If you are claiming innocent spouse relief, instead, file the 8857. Generally, both spouses are responsible for paying the full amount of tax, interest, penalties due on your joint return. However, if you qualify for innocent spouse relief, you may be relieved of part or all of your joint liability. So let's go back here where we were earlier. And let's look at this. We just looked at the instructions. Now let's look at the PDF form. And the PDF is what you would download. This is the form that you would download and print off. And if you unlock the form, you can actually fill it out. But right now it's locked, so you can't. So basically you want to print this PDF form out, and then you want to fill it out. You know, it's asking you questions like enter the tax year for which you are filing this form. So you put the year here. Did you or will you file a joint return? Yes. And if no, it says stop here. Do not file this form. So it has to be a joint form. So you go down and answer each particular question. Are you legally obligated to pay this past due amount? And it better be no, because if it's yes, then you don't need to fill out. You are not an injured spouse. So, no, you're not legally obligated. If it's your spouse, child that owes child support. So answer each question accordingly. And if you do, you'll go to the next line. Go to line 6. And this is a continuous. And then you'll be entering information about the tax return for which this form is filed. And so, of course, we talked about the instructions. And on all of these other questions, like all revisions of the 8379, are the items you may find useful about Publication 55, Community Property, Innocent Spouse Relief. So And that's something totally different. Innocent spouse relief, which we talked about earlier. And this is a form. But this is just where you would go. And you would, if you wanted to print this out, you can go here. So basically, you would go and fill out this form to make sure that you get your money and that your stimulus, that you get your portion, which would be $1,200. But when this next bill passed, the People Act passed, I mean, it's going to be $2,000 a month. And if you're married, it's supposed to be $4,000. So if your spouse owes that money, you fill out this form. And if you fill out this form now and it applies to this one, it'll also apply to the next one too as well. And if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to check this IRS website out, and fill out the appropriate forms. But I think once if you fill this out for this one, when they do get the other one, which would be a significant amount of money, 2,000 times, actually if it's for 6 months, that's $12,000. So make sure you fill out this form appropriately and make sure you print it out. Do it in black ink. Make sure you follow all the instructions, have everything attached like we went over, and make sure you get this money. And I hope this was very helpful, and I hope this helps you, to, hope this enriches you. Hope it, helps you to pay some of your obligations and everything. And I'm drinking some water. If you need to feel refreshed, drink water too. It's good for you. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day and a terrific Saturday and a terrific every day. Remember, like, share, and subscribe.